What if the map you've trusted your whole life is a carefully crafted illusion? Think about it. From the moment we're children, we're shown globes and atlases as if they represent absolute truth. Countries outlined in bold, borders drawn like scars across the earth, oceans and continents neatly colored in. But what if maps don't reflect reality? Not just in scale or perspective, but in their very foundations. What if the names, borders, and even some nations themselves are nothing more than fabrications, deliberately invented to control how we see the world? This is the disturbing world of geofiction. The possibility that maps are not neutral tools of navigation, but weapons of propaganda. And once you peel back the layers, becomes terrifyingly clear. Maps have always been about power, not truth. Let's start with the obvious. Every map distorts. The famous Mercator projection, the map you've seen hanging in classrooms and offices for decades, wildly exaggerates the size of Europe and North America while shrinking Africa and South America. Greenland looks bigger than Africa on that map, when in reality, Africa is 14 times larger. Why? Because the map was designed in the 16th century for European sailors, not for truth. And by the time it became the global standard, the damage was done. Generations of people grew up thinking Europe was the center of the world and Africa was small and irrelevant. That's not cartography, that's manipulation. But distortion is just the beginning. Maps erase entire peoples. Consider colonialism. European powers didn't just invade, they renamed. Zimbabwe became Rhodesia. The Congo was carved up. Indigenous names for rivers and mountains were wiped away, replaced with names of European monarchs. Whole cultures disappeared from the map as if they never existed. It goes deeper. Some maps contain places that were never real. Phantom settlements. Map makers inserted fake towns as copyright traps. If a competitor copied the fake name, it proved plagiarism. Strangely, some phantom towns became real. People settled there. Businesses registered. Fiction became fact because the map said so. Then there are borders. We think borders are ancient, but most were drawn with rulers on paper. The Berlin Conference of 1884 carved up Africa between European powers without a single African at the table. Straight lines cut across deserts, dividing tribes and families. Millions of lives were reshaped by men drawing arbitrary lines thousands of miles away. Those artificial borders still cause wars today. But the most chilling part of geofiction isn't just the past, it's happening right now. Modern mapping companies like Google and Apple show different borders depending on where you're viewing them from. Pull up a map of Kashmir in India and you'll see one set of borders. Open it in Pakistan and you'll see another. China's borders look different depending on whether you're inside China or outside of it. In other words, reality itself shifts depending on who you are and where you're standing. The map you're shown isn't about truth, it's about appeasing governments. And those governments understand exactly how much power lies in controlling perception. Consider the oceans. 40% of the world's seas are disputed. Islands claimed by multiple nations. Shipping routes redrawn overnight. Undersea territories declared with ink on paper. Whoever controls the map controls the resources, oil, fish, minerals, legitimate or not. What about nations that vanish? Look at Palestine. Look at Tibet. Look at indigenous territories, invisible on mainstream maps. If a country isn't on the map, does it exist? If its name isn't on the globe, will the next generation know it was ever there? Geofiction erases realities, not with bombs, but with silence. There's a psychological effect. Studies show people believe the map, even when it contradicts their knowledge. Maps create mental cages. If the border says you can't cross, most people won't. Maps are invisible fences, conditioning us to see the world as someone else wants. Some theorists argue entire countries might be fabricated, existing more on paper than in reality. Have you noticed how few people you've met from certain places, how little coverage they receive? There are claims that some nations were created for financial maneuvers, tax havens, or resource extraction, with little genuine population. It sounds absurd until you realize how little you know firsthand. Think about North Korea. We're told it's a hermit kingdom, yet nearly all we know comes from controlled leaks and propaganda. How much is real? Could the map be a smokescreen? And don't ignore naming. To name a place is to claim it. Mount Everest isn't its real name. Local Tibetans called it Chomolungma for centuries. Western explorers erased that name, stamping their own authority onto the peak. How many places carry the names of conquerors instead of the people who lived with them? So ask yourself, if maps lie about size, erase cultures, insert fake towns, bend borders, and rename sacred spaces, what does that say about the truth we take for granted? And here's the final twist. Today's digital maps, the ones on your phone, in your car, in your apps, are updated constantly. Streets vanish, landmarks are renamed, even entire neighborhoods disappear from one version to the next. These aren't accidents. These are curated realities. The power to edit maps in real time means the power to edit your perception of the world in real time. If someone wanted to make a place disappear tomorrow, they wouldn't need tanks. They just need to delete it from the map. Think about that. One keystroke, and your hometown could be erased from digital reality. Future generations might never know it existed. And the scariest part, you'd probably still believe the map over your own memory. That's how deep the programming runs. So the next time you look at a globe, or pull up GPS, or see a headline about disputed territories, remember this. Maps aren't mirrors, they're scripts. They don't just show the world, they tell you how to think about it. Who belongs, who doesn't, what exists, what doesn't. They are weapons disguised as guides, and maybe, just maybe, the world we live in is smaller, stranger, or more manipulated than we've ever been allowed to believe. If you're awake, you already know what to do. Hit the link in the description and join our free underground newsletter.